All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Represented series. This is our Fireside edition. I'm really excited to bring on Dr. JeFreda Brown. Hello, Dr. JeFreda. How are you today?
I am fine, Dana. How are you?
I'm doing well. No complaints. I mean, we're still, kind of going through a heat wave here in the tri-state area, but I can't say we've adjusted nicely.
And that I can definitely understand. Being in the South, we've been having over 100-degree weather for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, we are just not. I mean, used to it. Maybe one day, maybe 2 days, but the consistency of it has just been something, that we would like to kind of tone down. Just a tad, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's summer, and I guess in some aspects we really shouldn't complain because we only get a limited time of this heat. So I'm hoping that maybe this wave will continue to like October, just with not as much heat. But we can still keep some of the warmth into maybe like that Indian summer up here. So we'll see if that happens. Otherwise,
at least you all have a real winter.
Yeah. I can't say I envy that part of living in the South. I definitely remember what that experience was. But super excited to have you here today, and for everyone to learn more about what you do, how you got into financial services in general. I mean, you have really an amazing background, so I can't wait for people to hear all about the accomplishments that you've had. But just to really open it up, just tell us a little bit about how you even got into this industry and why you're so passionate about it.
It's so funny because growing up, I always knew that I was just definitely going to be an engineer. So graduating from high school, of course, my goals were set to enter into college. I was especially the type of engineering that I wanted to do, which was civil engineering. So I had planned on actually going to Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and that didn't pan out. So when that didn't pan out, I ended up going to Mississippi State University, Hale State. And I started out in civil engineering, and I started realizing, this may not necessarily be what I want to do. And so I've always been really good in math. So I actually changed my degree to a math degree since I had already taken most of the math courses being in engineering. And at this point, I was probably a junior. So I went ahead and changed to math and finished out in math. Then I decided that I wanted to go back and get my master's. And what really kind of drove me into the financial industry was that I was actually working. I'm originally from Mississippi, so I was working for an organization called Mississippi Home Corporation. And I was actually working in the tax credit department, which basically that program is for organizations who want to build low-income housing for communities, and they can get tax credits for it. And upstairs was the accounting department, and they were like, we need you up here. And so they worked it out where I actually was spending half of the day downstairs in the tax credit division, and the other half of the day I worked upstairs in accounting. So I actually had two different roles at the same organization. I don't know if I'm the first person to ever do that, but so I was a tax credit analyst and also a staff accountant at the same time. And went ahead and finished my MBA while I was there at the company. And then actually got hired to start working for the Department of Defense, the Defense Contract Audit Agency. I actually got contacted by Mississippi State, and they were like, hey, DCAA is looking for auditors. And we think you'll be perfect for this role. And I was like, yeah. So applied, interviewed, got hired, and started working as an auditor with the Department of Defense, where I was actually auditing companies that have government contracts. And what's so funny is that I think I actually kind of got set up for that role, because when I was a senior in high school, I worked for the federal government that had a student temporary employment program where high school students could actually work in government agencies. And I actually worked in the contracting division as a senior in high school. So I think it was kind of like a foreshadowing of what was to come. And then once I started working for DCAA, and once I started meeting a lot of the different contractors and realizing that they had a lot of questions and there were a lot of things that they needed help with, they would ask me questions. And of course, I couldn't answer them. I had to maintain independence. But I decided to go ahead and leave and go into business full time to offer, starting out, offering accounting services and business consulting and helping companies get their accounting systems set up for doing government contracts. So that's how it actually started. And then as the years went on, I kind of went from accounting more into the finance side of things. And I absolutely love it now where I am. And just the challenge of finance, I think is really awesome. And being able to learn some of the things that I've learned about the finance side, because a lot of people don't even realize that there's a difference between accounting and finance, that they're two different disciplines.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely correct. A lot of people think that that person does, both things, or wears, that same hat, and it's like that's not the case typically.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it can be, but usually they're two different people who hopefully should be working together for the benefit of their client.
Right.
And that's really amazing. I mean, you've had such a lengthy career, even before stepping into the financial services side of things, of working with either kind of individuals in that manner, or maybe even, continuing to branch off and work more with small businesses in a different capacity. But how was that experience really taking what you learned, at the Fed, especially kind of being on that government side of things and seeing another side that I think most people don't get to see, and even most financial professionals don't get to see, and being able to pull that into your practice of working with small businesses and individuals to maybe even help them figure out how they can get those government contracts?
Yeah, I think it was a blessing for me to have that opportunity, because it really helped me to see, like you said, that side of things, and see the depth of how things are done. And what's so funny is that a lot of times, a lot of the contracts that were won were actually won by somebody who was just a one-person company. And sometimes we would go to their houses to perform audits, and they would have like shoe boxes of documents and things like that. So understanding that there is an opportunity there for anybody. You don't necessarily have to be this big, huge company. Like you can be one person who's really good at what you do, and you can get a government contract. And understanding what another big benefit of it was, understanding contracting standards and regulations and the laws, and being able to explain that in a way where people can understand it, and helping them to see all the different dimensions and aspects of it, helping them to understand the different things, like the different types of set-asides, the different opportunities for even if you're a one person company and you win a government contract, that allows you the opportunity to provide jobs for other people. You can bring them on to work on those contracts. And also, I think that experience really helped me to better understand the finance side of things as well, because there's so many different aspects. When you think about finance, you think about the financial analysis, financial modeling, and cash flow analysis, and those types of things, which I learned that a lot of business owners don't even really know about those things. They're just focused on, I need an accounting systems and I need to get my taxes. I need to get my taxes done. So being able to help them to understand all these different facets and aspects of the financial part of running a business, and helping them to understand that the foundational part is the financial part is the foundation of every single business and organization, because everything comes from the financial part. Everything you do, you have to make sure that you have some type of budget in place, making sure that you're financially fit to take on like different types of new projects and investments and things like that. So I think that opportunity really, really was a huge benefit. And then the other part of it is that the fact that when people work with me, they have someone who has experience and knowledge in both accounting and finance, understanding both disciplines.
No, absolutely. And that makes, kind of that full holistic picture that clients are able to get from you, whether it's individuals or small businesses. And I feel like you just, talked a lot about things that, people don't necessarily, number one, like to talk about, and number two, like to do, right? Like no one, it's like, yes, how do I, get my taxes done? And then I have to sit here and figure out how to do a cash flow analysis. Can just, you just halt, right? You just stop. Like, I don't want to have anything to do with all of those things, right? Where is the
Right.
where is the tech solution that can figure it out? But at the end of the day, as a business owner, you have to, at the very least, understand all of that stuff. Even if you're having someone else possibly pull it all together for you, you want to make sure that you can actually understand it and speak to all of those things. What do you feel like are the biggest maybe misconceptions with trying to get government contracts as an individual, as a business? Because I'm sure it probably, number one, maybe seem like very overwhelming to people. Like, maybe there's, a lot that I have to do or go into it or apply and then wait or do all of those things. And then there's probably the other side of it is that how do I even get connected to doing that, right? How do I even figure out if that's a good fit for my business or if that's something I can even take advantage of? But I'm hearing from you like there are plenty of opportunities. Yeah. You might have to have a small intermission. Sorry, there's no commercial break. We can look at a photo. Hey.
Hey.
We went to a quick commercial break.
Okay, sorry about that. My internet went out. Like it just completely just dropped.
No worries. I feel like in this area we've been having a bit of those issues too with the
Yeah.
heat. We've been having these random storms come through where it's knocked out the power, which has been extremely
Yeah.
annoying.
Yep,
But
here
what
too.
what I was asking was, what do you feel like the misconceptions are for people who are either maybe looking for government contracts and trying to form relationships? Do you feel like it's like, hey, I don't know how to just go about doing that or finding them? Or is it like, hey, it just seems like there might be so much work to do that people just kind of get maybe frustrated before they even get started?
Yeah, so a few things that I just from my conversations with people. So one of the things is that they really don't know where to start. They don't really understand, like I said, the government contracting regulations and laws and rules, and they're not really sure of specifically which government agencies to really network with and market their services to. Um, and another thing too, that one of the reasons why a lot of people are hesitant is because they think that they can't get a government contract. Like I mentioned earlier, you can be a one person business and you can get a government contract. There's a lot of ways that the government awards contracts. They have something that's called simplified acquisition process, where if you've been networking with the buyers in the agency and they know the types of services that you can provide, then they can contact you directly and say, hey, can you provide these services for us for this specific contract? They have contracts that are like between $10,000 and $25,000 that people can do something for. You have opportunities where they only just need one person to do something. There's a lot of times where they just need somebody to come in and teach a class or course or conduct a training. So there's so many different opportunities to provide services or product. The government buys paper clips. The government purchases haircuts, because you got to think about, the government is broad. You got the military, the men in the military, they need haircuts. The women need their hair done. They purchase even those types of things. So just opening up your mind to think about all the different types of things that they purchase, because they are the largest purchaser customer in the world. And just understanding that it is a process. It doesn't happen like instantaneously like that. You do have to market your business. You have to understand how to market. You have to understand their processes, because some agencies are okay with you contacting the procurement officers directly and networking with them. Some of them have other ways. For instance, they may have like specific types of outreach events where you can actually kind of be like face to face with the people who are responsible for awarding contracts and get to know them in that way and start building that relationship. So it's a process. You definitely have to have patience.
Oh
And
yeah, just like most things, right?
yeah, like most things. And and the other thing too is the certifications.
Mm.
Like the certifications are really important because of the different types of set asides. If you're a woman owned business, veteran owned business, small businesses, if you are you can get an 8A certification, hub zone certification. And I just read something earlier this week where they're looking into starting an actual certification program for veteran owned businesses. There's one for women owned, but they're looking at starting one specifically for veteran owned businesses. And there's a lot of different agencies across the country that actually do those certification
That's
processes.
really amazing, because for all of the things that I feel like we don't necessarily always know or have access to, I feel like these are just almost small, that can small things that can turn into really big wins that people can
Mhm.
do, that ultimately kind of go back to generating wealth, right? Imagine a lot of these maybe smaller mom and pop companies or individuals who are building businesses, or, or just kind of thinking about, in the ideation stage of how they're planning that, adding this to their, go-to-market strategy or whatever that looks like for them, and actually landing some of these contracts, and then being able to, bring that wealth back into their businesses, but ultimately towards them for themselves, right? How do you help, at that point? Because you also said something earlier about being prepared, right?
Right.
You still have to you get the win, but you have to be prepared to receive the win, right? So it's just not like money coming in and then going out the door, and then you're scrambling, for that next opportunity or that next contract. How do you help clients who might be going through the phase, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a government contract, but just being prepared to take in money, right? To scale their business, or even just to kind of live their lives as they're building their wealth?
Oh, that's a really good question. And I'm glad you asked that question, because this is something that I really want people to be aware of, because it will happen eventually in your business. You get into business to make a profit and for it to do well and succeed, and to have generational wealth, create generational wealth in your family. So what I have seen is, now that I can look back on some of my previous clients, now I get a little tickled because when they see all of a sudden, just whether it's a government contract or just any type of business just starts coming in, and they see all of a sudden things just start moving so fast. It's like bam, bam, bam. And they start getting scared. They're like, oh my God, I've never made this much money. I don't know what to do. I don't want the government to come.
Yeah, it's like making money and having it is just as scary, or can be just as scary as the other side of it too.
Right. Right. They do get really nervous and anxious when that starts happening, because they want to make sure that they're doing things the right way. They want to make sure that they have the processes in place to make sure that they're keeping the business things separate from their personal things. And they also, at that point, they start thinking, whoa, wait a minute, I'm making more money. So now I need to start really planning for the future. Whether you're single or you already have a family, they start thinking instantly, oh, now I really understand why I need to start planning for the future. So I help clients. For instance, I do like an initial assessment. I have this assessment form that I give out to them. And it kind of covers every single area, personal side and the business side. And it helps them to start thinking, like, do you have these things in place? Do you want to review this? Is this something that you really want to look into? Are there any other concerns or questions that you have? Things that you think may not necessarily be important, but they may be. And so that's an opportunity for them to kind of just do a mental dump of everything that they've been thinking about, what's been causing them that anxiety, and kind of get it out. And then we kind of just lay everything out, and I walk them through the process and we discuss it. And then I kind of put together, we determine what's a priority and what needs to be done now, what needs to be done like within a year from now, 2 years from now, and put together like a written plan from that point, and then start implementing those things and putting them into place. And when they see that, oh, okay, now I have a process, I have a plan in place, they kind of start calming down. And also to help them to see this is just the beginning. Like, if you're making this much money now, you're going to continue to make this money and even more. So we have to put something in place to prepare for even bigger leaps and levels.
Because those levels can definitely be levels, and you just gotta be ready to get there, right? It's like when you apply for something, it's just like, oh my God, I actually got it. Right? And that moment of, oh crap, I did actually get it. And this money is coming in, and well, now what do I do? Right? You can almost kind of have a panic attack for some people in that moment of trying to figure out, well, who do I need to call? How do I manage this? Okay, what do I need to do for my bit? Like, there's so many questions that go on that, you're helping people to walk through those stages with.
Right.
Especially so they're maximizing those relationships, right? It's like you want to get that, and then do a good job so that you do get more.
Can give
Because
more.
one thing that I have heard is just that people, you once you're in, you're kind of in,
Yep.
right?
Get your
So
foot in the door. That's it.
yeah, so it's like you want to be prepared all the way around, right? And buttoning
Right.
up all parts of your business. So do you kind of also help people, pull that glue together, not just financially, but maybe in some other areas of their business or their lives where they, just kind of need some buttoning up and some tidying?
Yes, definitely. So one of I think I would say one of my strong skills or gifts is that I am able to kind of stay ahead of the curve, and I am very aware of what's going on around. And of course, I read a lot, I research a lot. And so I'm able to kind of pinpoint some things that my clients may not necessarily be aware of or know about, and say, hey, let's look at into this and think about this. This is something you may want to, just keep in mind, of something that could possibly come up in the future. And also helping them to understand, because, and this is one of the things, and this is more around the investing part of things, because that's one of the first questions everybody asks. Now that I have all this money coming in, I want to invest it into something. What types of, like, stocks, 401k, IRAs can I put my money? And helping people to understand that these are the most well-known ways to put money into for retirement and investing. But there's so many different other things out there that you can invest in as well, and educating my clients on all the different ways that you can invest. When I tell people, do you know that you can invest in ships? They're like, wait a minute, you mean like SHIPS ships? Like ships that are out on the ocean?
I'm sitting
Like,
here like,
yeah.
tell us more about the
Yeah, like
ships and the boats.
ships. Like, okay, so we know, being in the financial industry, that with the advancements in technology, now there's so much more that's open up to just everyday working people. It's not just only available to accredited investors anymore. So there's different types of platforms out there where people can invest in things like ships and art. And what's so funny? I read an article last year that somebody had an art um, piece, I think, where they took like a banana and something else and made it an art piece, and it sold for millions of dollars. Like the things that people will pay for
I
money
know
for.
the things people pay for still blow my mind, but I mean, listen,
It's
if
crazy.
it's selling,
Right.
make it.
And right. And that's why it's so good to be able to explain and educate people about these types of things, because it's like, you could actually invest in even thinking about things like the NFTs. Like, people are actually selling those and making bukus of money for those NFTs. And just being able to invest in all these different types of things that seem kind of quirky, but you can actually make really good money, and start saving up for the long run, even for if you saving up for some type of short-term thing, like college for kids, or a major vacation or something like that, some type of project, if you want to renovate a house or purchase real estate. There's so many different ways to purchase real estate now. Even if you want to purchase brick and mortar, there's different types of platforms out there that allow you to be able to do that. So helping, basically just educating people on all the different opportunities that are out there for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And technology has definitely just opened up the world to so many. And really not even just the technology from a device perspective, but more so just the internet in general, right? If you
Yeah.
have and can have access to the internet, there's so many things that you can learn and explore and do.
Hmm.
And just, have those opportunities, even if you don't necessarily have a mobile device. And hopefully more companies will, of course, yes, make things mobile enabled, but also have a web platform that, everyone can really access.
Right.
Now, what do you feel like is really holding people back from, moving forward on a lot of these initiatives that they could be doing, whether it's in their financial lives, for their personal selves, or for their professional selves?
Well, the things that I have personally encountered is, and you and I have talked about this. I mentioned that I noticed that a lot of women are really hesitant when it comes to discussing finances, getting their finances in order. And one of the main things is that a lot of people have made some mistakes and they're ashamed to talk about those mistakes. They're ashamed to have somebody look at their financials and see what's going on. But helping them to understand, we've all been there. It's not just you. And I think to help them to understand, it's better when you are actually able to work with somebody who's actually experienced some similar things that you experience and understands. And to know that, this is not to say, hey, you're wrong for what you did and point the finger at you. This is to help you to do better. This is to see what mistakes you've made in the past so you don't repeat those, so that you can develop a good plan going forward and start focusing on, okay, now it's time to really be laser focused on creating generational wealth and helping, even as you learn things, to share that information with others, like your family members, your friends, coworkers, being able to just pay that forward. So that's one of the things that I see, being ashamed. The other thing is that people are saying, okay, I'm already in a kind of tight place financially. I can't really afford to pay a financial expert to help me. But they assume that without even talking to the person. Most financial people, we're financial people. So we're not coming to try to milk you. We want to help you. So we will work with you on payment plans and things like that. And then the other thing is that a lot of people don't really understand a lot about financials. And so they're kind of hesitant to kind of move forward with different things. I share an example about how a lot of people, employees that work for employers, they don't register, they don't sign up for the retirement benefits because they don't really understand them. And then, of course, the employers legally can't help them and explain those things to them. And sometimes, like, they do bring in financial experts to try to explain some of those things, and that the benefit of providing employees with personal finance education to help them understand it better, where they're in a position where they're like, okay, now I understand. So now I will enroll in my company's benefit plan. So those are some of the things that I've personally witnessed of why people are kind of hesitant to move forward.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I feel like you hit on a lot of different things that really just kind of impact how we move, and whether we do or don't do something, right? So whether it's preparation, whether it's feeling shame, not knowing how to get started, or feeling like, oh, I'm in a bad hole, there's no way I can dig myself out of that, right? But of course, just from being in the industry, we know that, people are in this industry who can help you out no matter where you feel like you're just stuck, so that you're able to kind of get through it again. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And before we hop off, I know we've talked a lot about, all the different ways that you really help clients and all the wonderful things that you're doing internally and externally in the industry. But what are the things that you like to do that really bring you joy?
What's so really funny is that when I was after I finished college, and looking for a job, I did some substitute teaching for a while, and did some substitute teaching at my old high school. And some of my old teachers were there, and they were like, we want to keep you. We need you to stay here. And they actually called one of the people from the Board of Education to come over and talk to me. And she came over and talked to me, and she said, I can go to the board and get you an emergency certification. You don't have to go through the entire process to get a certification to teach. And I looked at her and I said, no, that's not what I want to do. I said, I'm going back to school to get my master's degree. And I said, I don't want to teach. And it's so funny now because that's exactly what I am doing. That's exactly what I am. I love to teach now. I love it with a passion. I love to educate people, especially like one of the things, like I mentioned earlier, about helping people understand that there's a difference between accounting and finance. And the reaction that I get from people when I say that, they're like, really? I didn't know that. And just being able to be in a position where I am helping somebody better themselves, to improve their lives in some type of way. And connected to that is that I am also a minister. And so as a minister, that's part of my responsibility to help people and to show love to people. No matter where they are in their lives, I have to show love to people. And I carry that over into my businesses when I work with my clients. One of the things that I've heard a lot of my clients say is that you're very rare. It's hard to find somebody who actually cares and they're not just trying to take our money. Like, you actually care about us and you want to see us do good. You want to see us do better. And so that just warms my heart when I hear people actually say that. So that's, for me, it's just being able to help somebody and help people improve, and to see them succeed and to see them actually go forward and help somebody else after they've gotten on their feet. So that's what it is for me.
Yeah, there's definitely nothing more rewarding than seeing someone be able to activate all the change that they wanted to make, or completion of that change. It's definitely very gratifying, and just, fun to watch other people on their journey to that self-actualization, financially, and just get to all the places that that they can be. So I'm happy that you definitely found this position, in this role, in the way that you did, coming into the financial industry, and all of the work that you're doing to help clients really maximize their entire financial lives, and do something that you find joy in and love, right? It is funny how things do come full circle, right? It's like, no, I don't want to teach, but we are in fact teachers.
We are teachers.
Right? You don't get the summer break.
Right.
And if we could, kind of work that in, then that would be great. But, at the end of the day, being able to shape those parts of people's lives is extremely rewarding. So it's nice to hear that that's exactly what you're doing and will continue to do for your clients and throughout everything else that you touch. So thank you so much for coming on. And I feel like we have to unpack more about the ministry and the other work that you do that we didn't necessarily have time to touch on during this episode. So know that we'll have to have you back for another fireside chat.
Awesome. Definitely. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, everyone, thanks again for coming on and watching and taking time to view the Represented series. Definitely make sure that you catch up on more episodes. You can also catch Dr. JeFreda's educational episode, and I'm sure we'll have her back again for another fireside chat. So everyone, have a wonderful afternoon. Take care and stay cool this summer.
Take care. Stay cool.
Absolutely.